Hey Pacific Crest, remember this place? Well, we're gonna do our best to get back here. I wanted to do a video to talk about what we know and then what Doc Matt and the trainers and I have been talking about. So the first thing is, and I want to be super clear, I hope I didn't get everyone all spooled up, we don't know anything about reopening. There's no private consultation with business or any of those things. But the federal government released the guidelines for reopening, and Oregon is using those guidelines as a format to start with. What we do know at this point from Governor Brown's office is that nothing's going to be reopened until there's a series of testing, tracing, and case decrease requirements that are met. So I don't think we'll see anyone doing any reopening until the state is satisfied that those things are happening. And there's not a lot of information on how we're doing in those areas. I know cases are starting to level off and drop, but as far as testing goes and tracing goes, there's not a ton of information there. So that's step one for the state, is those things have to be in place and meeting whatever requirements they want them to meet before it looks like we're talking about reopening. Once that happens, there is a 3-phase plan, and a lot of that revolves around what businesses will start when and how many people will be interacting with how many people at certain times. The federal government's phase 1 has groups of 10 and includes gyms in phase 1 of opening. The draft that we've seen from Oregon shows the possibility that gyms will not be included in phase 1. We're hoping that group fitness will be in phase 1 and large gyms would be the ones that are pushed off, because that seems to make the most sense. If you will go to a group-led class, whether it's CrossFit or yoga, you have an instructor that can help implement the state's intent for distancing, numbers, and so forth. So we're kind of planning that may be the case. So that's where the state is, and of course we're going to follow the state's guidelines. Step 2, or the next thing, step 1 for us really, is starting to recover equipment. We don't think the state will be ready to start any phases of reopening for at least a few weeks. So that's why we're asking for equipment back in about 10 days. It will take a week or so for us to recover all of that equipment, get it completely clean, back in the gym, and so forth. So that's why we're asking for the equipment back. Once the state makes it clear that we can reopen, Doc Matt and the trainers of I have talked about the steps that we're going to take. It's kind of a twofold process. We're going to do our best to meet the state's intent and keep the facility clean, but it is also a member responsibility to continue to monitor your own health, and if you're sick, not come to the gym. And just know that it's not a perfect solution in here. So we're going to be in a high intensity environment, we're going to sweat, we're going to cough, we're going to spit, and so that's part of the deal if we decide to come back and do workouts at the gym. So what do we plan to do in here? The first thing is control entry and exit. So the phase 1 of that is that you come to the gym prepared, and we're going to list all these out. So I'm just kind of talking you through what's happening, and we'll have this in a document. But you come prepared, so there won't be changing at the gym at first. So come in your gym clothes, leave in your gym clothes. And I know that's a little bit of a hassle for some of you that come from work, but there may be some changing in the car, that kind of thing, for a week or so. We're going to enter through the front door. We're going to have a hand sanitation station there. We'll have stations built in the gym, and the trainer will do their best to lay out the equipment that you'll need within. You guys remember Vancouver? Within the station for the day. That being said, there will be moving around. You will have to move to get plates and collars and pull-up bars and all those things. And so that's where we just work together to make sure we're doing our distancing properly. We'll have sterilization equipment for each station, and we'll work together on how we get that done. Once class is over, we're going to exit through the roll-up door. We still want this to be a part of your day, and this is your community, and I know we're all excited to see each other. So we plan on setting up appropriately distant seating outside of the roll-up in the parking lot. So after class, if you want to sit outside, talk with your friends, cool down, whatever, we'll have that all set up, and we're going to use the 10-foot distance away from each other. So those are the steps that we plan on taking. The last one is going to be class times. Initially, we're going to put some buffer time in between classes. So that's super easy to figure out at night. We're looking at a 4 p.m., a 5:30 p.m., and a 7 p.m. when we first get going. Now that we don't plan on retaining that as a permanent schedule. As we see the reopening measures working and the state allows greater and greater gathering, we will bring our normal class times back as long as we know what's happening. But for that, a short time, that's what we're going to do. We still haven't figured out how we're going to work the morning. 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. are both very important classes, and we need to figure out how to make all that work. So we'll put our thinking caps on there. And I've also gotten a lot of good ideas from members, so send them our way if you have them. So that's class times. I hope I've covered most of the items that you may have been thinking of. Again, send us ideas if you have it. If we hear anything on reopening, of course, we'll get it out there as soon as we know. But that's what we know for now. So thanks for your time.